Naira notes unveiled. Some people are already spending it. Those that are close to the corridors of power. When will it get to your turn? Some people are displaying it, but we know when it will take effect. We also know when the current outgoing Naira notes will cease to be a legal tender. Just as President Muhammad Buhari nominates his aide, Loretta Onochie, as chairman of NDDC board. Same Onochie, the president, nominated as National Commissioner of Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and Nigerians shouted on top of their voices, forcing the National Assembly to reject her nomination. I believe there will be few objections to this present nomination. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, insists on use of BVAS and electronic transmission of results, as well as enabling citizens to indeed view election results, just as APC chairman is kicking against it. Now, yesterday in Abuja, Atiku Abubakar inaugurated the PDP campaign, Women Campaign Council. The women, just like the APC did a few days earlier, are also kicking into that campaign. Later today, the PDP presidential campaign train will hit Ilori, the capital of Kwara State, just as Peter Obi's Labour Party presidential rally held in Ibadan State yesterday. $1 billion looted since 2015 recovered, so says Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation of Bakamalabi. My name is Amechi Anogwe. My colleagues are here. Bulu Semwagu is joined by Teletiaf.
Thank you, Amechi, and good morning, dear listener. Should I congratulate the Nigerian government for unveiling the new redesigned Naira note after about 20 years. Nigerian law stipulates that the Naira should be redesigned every 8 years, and but me, I don't see how feasible that can be. You'll be redesigning Naira every 8 years.
That's what the rule says.
Yes, but
it should be redesigned after every 8 years.
To check corruption and probably inflation. But
and monitor every money in circulation, cash
transaction. Yes. But one striking observation I made there yesterday, I'll be very brief on this matter, is that the Minister of Finance was conspicuously absent. I don't know the reason why.
Does she have any role to play?
It was the Minister of, but if she doesn't have any role, why would the Minister of State be flanked? Well, the President be flanked by the Minister of State.
Okay, the Minister of State was there.
So questions are being asked.
She could as well be elsewhere.
Why did she stay away? Probably she still agreed that she did not, she was not carried along. But that is, by the way, what we are looking at is the value of the Naira. What value will the change of color? Sorry, some people call it change of color. Change of the design of the currency.
If you change color, there's color design. When you change color, it's part of the design. Design could be color, it could be the font of
and security features.
Yes, it could be anything.
Yeah,
and look at the funny thing happening on the social media. But
some say it has been bleached.
But a lot of people pointed at the US dollar, the $100 bill, that just change of color that they did.
But our concern should be the value. What will be the value of that 1,000 naira in my pocket, and what will be the value in the market when I go to buy Gari? How much will the price of Gari reduce because I have a brand new Naira note? So those are the
I don't know how true
it
is. Some people are saying that the cost of printing is even more higher than the value of the currency.
I think Showore is saying over almost 200 billion cost for printing and production. So if that is true, I think the CBN has a lot of explanation to do, because that money can be channeled to somewhere else.
Confirm that.
Somewhere else, and look at ASU is still shouting on top of their voices, and you have several other issues that are lying down waiting for attention. So I think the value is what we are concerned about. How will the CBN say they want to mop up funds, funds that people have stuck involved in their homes and whatever? That is a good one. But the politicians are still shouting on top of their voices that the time space period is too short. Because I mentioned one other thing, it's Christmas period. Is
it the politicians, why are they shouting? Did they hide some money somewhere?
Well, probably. And one other thing, for the common man, it's Christmas period, Amechi. And you think it would be easy for Nigerians to rush to change their cash in the farmers and whoever in the villages, like Teve's village, that are good in farming? You think the money they put in their farm yard, in their in their compound, they will be able to.
Don't you have
them.
cash?
Yeah,
Don't you have
no.
banks? TV, don't you have banks in your village?
Good morning to you. Good morning, listener. Unfortunately, no.
Oh God, the precious.
Yes.
I have a friend. I have a friend from
I have no
Katsina
bank. I have no bank in my
who
village.
says there are just about 7 or is this 6 local governments in Katsina that have banks. A majority of the local governments in Katsina don't have banks. So how should those that have stored money?
How will they?
Yes, and because of the absence of bank, they say they are forced to store cash. But there's a cashless policy. Why don't farmers like Teve key into a cashless policy such that you don't depend on cash, you do cashless?
They don't have network to
For
do
one,
transfer.
the cashless I mentioned was not nationwide. Secondly, I'm not sure that farmers keep monies, the kind of monies people are talking about in the Abulu said farmhouse, all of that. That I'm not sure that has been the practice. But again, if you listen to the CBN governor yesterday, he said since the call for return of the old notes, they received barely 160 something billion, from what they are expecting people to turn in, which means the return is not.
They're expecting 2.7
Trillion.
Trillion, yes.
Only 160. There may be a rush.
But we also know that some persons are using several other, sources. But Amechi, to me, what stood out, which is what some analysts have been saying, and I want to believe they know what they should know, though I didn't listen to that perhaps from the CBN governor. But they are talking about security features in the new notes, such that it can be tracked. I don't know how that is possible, whether that is doable, but that's what a lot of some analysts are saying, so that if you carry it around, if they're able to get the number, the currency note, the number, and all of that is possible. I hope that is true.
But the president said it cannot be counterfeited. That's what.
Yes,
Well,
or it will be more difficult.
They've told
Not
us
that I cannot be.
They've told us before that it will not be counterfeited. We've seen it counterfeited over and over, so that the CBN was even crying, "Oh, look, the counterfeit are almost like the new the original one is very difficult, to detect." But moving forward, the international best practice actually is that the currency is redesigned every 5 years. And from the CBN governor yesterday, he opened up. He said, "Look, the CBN, or even under his leadership, has tried this, but politicians opposed it. But this time around, the president had the political will to, approve it, and they've gone ahead, to do that. So I think we need to move forward.
So we now know those that are opposing it.
Clearly, we need to move forward, and if there's anybody that has, please don't wait for the rush. The good thing is the banks, like my own banks, they've given notice of extension of working hours. They're working even on.
No, it's a directive from the CBN to all banks, Monday to Saturday.
Saturday, and all of that. So it's open. But again, just like you said, Nigerians will wait until the last day. Some will now start running.
But the striking thing that they said about the cashless policy, Amici, and that also is a concern and is a worry. Some people say that they don't have network in their locality, they don't have the telecommunications mass in their locality, and that drags me to the issue of BVAS. Is there a correlation? Is there a link between the network availability and the usage of BVAS?
Teve talked about what the CBN governor said yesterday. That's politicians resisting that move. And not just that move. Why do politicians always resist changes? Politicians resist changes because they fear of the outcome. It may throw up a new order that they may throw them out of government. I recall in 2013, 2014, prior to the 2015 election, when INEC wanted to introduce smart card reader, politicians, especially those in PDP, opposed it. We saw the arguments at the National Assembly. They said it was not covered by our laws. Our laws did not mention issue of electronic voting machine. Is it electronic voting? Is it a device? Is it a machine? Arguments came on, and at the end of the day, it was forced through. We use device. We use a card reader. Now, politicians are resisting the use of BVAS, an electronic transmission of results, and viewing of results in INEC's IREV, politicians mostly from the APC. Yesterday, the APC chairman told a foreign delegation that he has fears over network coverage of the entire country. The same fears and the same lies that even some government institution told came to the National Assembly to barefaced lies that we didn't have as much national coverage. Yes, there are some areas that don't have coverage, but I think it was a director at National Communication Commission that they came to tell us something different from what is published in their website. What we should be talking about, those areas that don't have network. Can we provide network? But INEC had always said, if there is no network in an area, all the officials need to do is to impute the figures there and move to the nearest point where they will get network and it will be uploaded. So politicians are resistant to changes.
Before TV comes in, I remember when the Minister of Education became Minister, Adamu, he resisted the computer-based test by JAM that Nigerians are not...
okay, sorry. I forgot to mention that Tinubu is moving to Ebonyi State today for his own campaign. Of course, is that the flag off?
PDP will be in Ilorin.
No, the flag off was in Jos.
Okay, they flagged off in Jos. So the next port of call is in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. So 2 rallies taking place today. APC in Ebonyi State and PDP in Ilorin. Labour Party had their day yesterday in Ibadan yesterday.
Okay, when the minister came in, he said that Nigerians are not computer literate enough to doing computer-based tests, and he was opting for paper, pencil, side-by-side, a computer-based test. But after a year, he discovered that yes, Nigerians can actually use a computer-based test. And if you look at the joint admission matriculation examination all over the country, it's conducted by computer-based test. There's no paper to pencil, and WAEC and NECO are even trying to approach the use of computer-based tests. And
are they using computer?
No, they are considering that. And most promotional exams by civil service, the civil service and the civil service have embraced computer-based tests for civil servants. Amechi, you need only a 2 gig to transfer election result. So we're not requesting for 3 gig or 4 gig or 5
4G or 3G generation.
It's a 2G network you need to transfer result. So I don't know what the resistance is. I think there is more to it. I think the chairman of the political parties should know that if they start raising this kind of concerns or fears to a foreign visitor, then I don't know.
He's free to express his opinion.
But you are telling the foreigner that you have fears.
Don't Nigerians go and protest in the offices of foreign embassies here? So should one set of people who have monopoly over taking their grievances to foreigners?
There's no going back on BVAS. That's what the INEC chairman said. He should keep his fears in his stomach. Yes.
Yeah,
but he has the right to express the objection.
He should keep it in his stomach. We don't want to hear.
You must listen to him.
He has the right to his opinion.
Nigerians don't want to hear him.
No, you say you don't want to hear.
We are not Nigerians because we have gone past that stage, for heaven's sake.
Interestingly, Amechi, Abdullahi Adamu was a senator. He was sitting in the red chamber when the Electoral Act bill was passed. Eventually, as it was, I think even up to when it was signed into law, he was still serving a senator. So perhaps he expressed his opinion by voting against it. I said perhaps, I'm not sure whether he voted against it.
So he had his say, while the majority had their way. The majority, including Abulu.
So clearly, he's interestingly, perhaps just like I also said, he was expressing his opinion. That may not necessarily be the opinion or the position of the party, as it were, but clearly you also understand that not every politician, especially those who are used to the old order, will be comfortable with the BVAS, just like they were not comfortable with the card reader, then the incident form. The issue now is not even the BVAS. Is the fact that INEC is saying no incident form. If there was BVAS and incident form, nobody will kick against it. But the fact that they are saying no incident form, that is where...
Explain what incident form is to our listeners.
Yeah, the incident form is a document provided by INEC where when you go for accreditation...
Using the then card
reader, if your fingerprints cannot be taken, cannot be recognized, it will be ticked that yes, he has not recognized you, and then you'll be given the incident form to feel that yes, you are not recognized you, but you are the one who with the card and all of that.
Kind of an affidavit, on the spot affidavit, and you'll be allowed to vote. And do you know what happened? When we introduced card reader and incidence form, in 2015 election, we saw the number that voted based on incidence form.
Yes.
It kept increasing by even the off-season election. It tells you that the politicians understood what was happening. You don't need to use the card reader. It delays whatever plan they have. All you need to do is to fill as much incidence form as possible and allow everybody that came around to vote. Now, INEC saw that as a problem and proposed BVAS. BVAS, card reader accredits only one fingerprint. BVAS, bimodal, means two methods. Facial or fingerprint. That's your picture or your fingerprints. Any of them that goes, you are deemed accredited. If it fails to accredit your read your fingerprints and recognizes your face, you can vote. And if it doesn't recognize your vote but reads your fingerprint, you can vote. If both do not work, you excuse yourself from that place.
For BVAS,
yes, that's what BVAS is all about.
For BVAS, you can scan the barcode on your permanent voter's card, or if that fails, 6 digits.
No, two.
No, that 6 digits of your card can be used, or your surname. You can input your surname to see if you are the owner of the card.
No, two issues. This I'm putting the INEC National Commission on Voter Education.
But what is on their site?
Yes, I'm putting him what he said last Friday, that there are only two, and some officials of the commission, that only two ways you can accredit, whether by facials, picture recognition, or
fingerprint.
Yes, so that's why they say bimodal too. It's not trimodal, it's bimodal. So if any of these fails, they will ask you to excuse yourself from the polling booth. Unlike in the past, when we had carried and where incidence form was available. So all those that were planning, and before then, during at the start of the continuous voter registration exercise, before the National Assembly passed this electoral act, politicians were busy in connivance with some scrupulous INEC staff doing mass registration. They register everybody. If you have goats, cows, squirrels, they will register. They were thinking the old order is what will take into this election. But when this electoral act came into being, they now discovered that those PVCs are worthless. That's why you see PVCs on the drainages, on gutters. They're throwing them away because they know it's worthless.
Indeed, perhaps INEC has come down to the issue of the facial and fingerprints, but before now, just like Abulu said, INEC has also told us about the barcode, and I had fears about the barcode issue, but that's a position they are taking at this moment. So we'll wait to see how eventually that will play out. But clearly, we will see. The 2023 election will definitely throw up a lot of issues moving forward. But just like politicians were able to find a way around using incident form, I'm sure they will also be looking at how and why where it's possible, to bypass this. Don't forget that those that the facial recognition can actually do without issues are those who registered not too long ago. Because if I registered in 2011, the technology is not the same thing with what was used recently, where you have to smile and frown, and all of that. What will be taken will be your fingerprints, that will be used in that process. So we'll see how it goes on. INEC has a lot of explanations to do. The good thing is they've also told us that there will be their briefings now, almost twice a week, in 2 weeks or so, and then
they will do what?
Bi-weekly
briefing. Yes.
And then eventually it become weekly, and then become daily.
What Abulu was referring to, I think it's part, just to clarify, it's part of the process. BVAS usage entails either scanning the barcode / that's QR code on the PVC voters register, or entering the last 6 digits of the voter identity number, typing in the last name of the voter by the assistant presiding officer to begin the verification and authentication process. That's what you do to begin the process.
So I think the INEC need more sensitization. Also, I have quarreled the National Orientation Agency. They have a lot of work to do. I don't know what they are doing. The Nigerians need to be orientated, giving these guidelines, how you vote and what is needed of you when you join the queue to vote, so that you don't go there and get confused and thinking that is the old order according to the old order of card reader. No, these features or these requirements should be publicized. We need a lot of
as much as
publicity.
possible.
Yes, in all major languages and even the other local languages.
And that's why we'll stay on this issue when we come back from our commercial break and your mess, because it's really important. In 2015, INEC used a card reader without subjecting it to tests, practical tests. Do you also know that several parts of the country have not used the BVAS? So a lot of people have raised concerns over whether BVAS can withstand the national spread, that stress that will come with it. INEC has continued to reassure that apart from all the off-season elections they've done in several parts of Nigeria, they also be conducting mock accreditation exercises. They will conduct mock accreditation exercise periodically before the election. They will organize it all over Nigeria to ensure that citizens get used to the processes, interact more, of course, initiate themselves into the process, even with their officials also on hand.
What I was saying before we went on break, no language is local. All languages are Nigerian languages. I mean to say they can do their awareness creation in all Nigerian languages. There's no major or local. Be that as it may, we look up to INEC to go beyond that, have town halls, yes, we have tested it in Osun and Ekiti, yes, and Anambra as well. So 3 states have tested it, and well, the results there.
More than 3 states.
Anambra.
It started
Osun,
in Nasarawa and Delta for state assembly by election.
Okay. So I think, well, you can say 5% of the Nigerian states have tested it,
or more,
or thereabout. So I think what we need more is the awareness creation, as our writer has said, and so that more Nigerians will be acquainted with what they will be faced with when they queue to vote.
I think the hope for the BVAS lies in what INEC says will be deployment of technical staff. In addition to the electoral officers, we've seen them deploy to conduct elections.
They call them RATEX.
Yeah. RATEX will be, for each round. When you talk about the RAT, we're talking about the registration
area technologist.
That is in every council ward. There will be a technician who will respond swiftly to any challenge that any of the presiding officers will report that the BVAS is
malfunctioning.
So that will be addressed. But again,
we didn't see that in 2015.
No, but you know that
one important thing is INEC needs to train again,
retrain
over those who will be involved. Because in 2015, for example, we saw something as simple as removing the leader. No, not the leader on the finger, because there were new devices. They were leader on the finger.
They were not removed. They were not covering the area where you have to apply your finger.
That alone created a crisis.
But they justified that.
So they need that training over and over and over before they.
No, that was justified. They say so that you will not say that it had been used before. But one other concern is that
we'll have to go.
We see that the producers are providing generator for these things to be charged.
They would have made provisions for it. So I think we'll come back tomorrow for more on this discussion. Yes, we have a responsibility to educate Nigerians more on this, and we'll have to do it. Thank you so much for joining us today.